Cranky Toys from the Pixel Slayers. Today I'm going to be unboxing and talking about a media converter I purchased on Amazon along with some S-Video cables, and I'm going to be showing a cheap alternative to getting your N64 modded to get slightly better picture on an HDTV. This here is an HD video converter scaler. It's not necessarily an upscaler. It does upscale to 720 and 1080p, but it's mostly just to get S-Video on a TV that doesn't have it. It does look a little bit better than just plugging in directly to a S-Video TV, like a HD TV that still has S-Video, which are getting like impossible to find these days. They're not very common. I actually had to do a lot of research because there's a whole bunch of these generic, cheap scalers on Amazon, and one of the most common ones are the, I think they're just called Mini, and they're basically composite to HDMI converters, and they're alright. I have a couple of them. Biggest downside is you have to unplug it every single time you use it and plug it back in. It's kind of a hassle. It does its job good enough, but you're still dealing with composite, and it's not the highest quality item, and you know, I wanted something better for my 64 because that's actually what I was using now. This, I'm hoping to get a better picture, and I did some research, and there's a whole bunch of these on Amazon. This is a Tensun. Now, this is obviously a Chinese manufacturer, but this one had the best reviews on Amazon as far as working for a Nintendo 64. A lot of them are cheaper made, have cheaper parts inside of them, and this one actually had some better components in it, and it's actually got pretty good reviews. So yeah, you can get other ones that might be a little cheaper, but they're not going to have a metal case, they're not going to have good solid ports, the internals are going to be cheap. Heck, some don't even come with a power adapter, they'll use a little USB one. So let's see what it comes with. Alright, so it gives you a power cable, like I said, an actual power cable, not a USB one, or just a cable to plug it into your own, and it's pretty good length. It feels pretty solid, it's not too big. I wish it was one of those smaller ones so you can, you know, this is going to have to go at the end of a strip, but, you know, $30. A nice S-Video cable, pretty thick. Won't need it, but it's nice to have an extra one in my collection, and of course some basic composite cables, AV cables, so not much in there, and of course it comes with a little tiny manual just kind of describing, you know, how it works. Part 2 of this project is this S-Video cable. Now, looking for a N64 S-Video cable is harder than it sounds like it's going to be. What I mean by that is there's so many cheap knockoff S-Video cables. It's like nearly impossible to find a Nintendo brand one, and even the Nintendo brand ones aren't that great. I did some more research, and I found out on Amazon the best generic S-Video cable that I could dig up through research was this Senpel S-Video cable. And the thing that gave this the best, you know, reviews was that this didn't give you a lot of checkerboarding, didn't give you rainbow effects, and it didn't mess up the colors. Let me explain something about S-Video cables. S-Video cable, and basically what S-Video is it splits the signal, the video part of the cable, into two sections. Now, the thing with these composite cables is audio goes through these two. These are audio, and this is video. Everything is going through this little thin cable, and that's why you get so much noise and such a crappy picture with this, is that everything is going through a cable. And these are pretty crappy because you can see how thin these are. But everything is going through this one cable, which is just not good for, you know, our modern televisions. Now, S-Video, I'm not too technical on this, but it splits the light from the video signal, and it's like it's two signals essentially. It's basically like having two cables in one. Not as good as RGB, which is 3, but it's pretty close, especially on the 64. Now, the thing is, not all these cables are created equally. The biggest problem with a lot of these S-Video cables is that they're thin and they're not properly shielded. You can see this one's thinner than I would like, but after doing research, I was pretty much reaffirmed that this is the best generic you can find. But from what I read, the biggest problem is they don't do proper shielding, and you'll get the checkerboarding, or you get some static and some noise in your picture. This one, you're not going to get that, according to my reviews. I guess I'll be the final judge on that. And also, you'll see a lot of S-Video cables that come with the yellow input with the color inputs, and the problem with that is that it's not true S-video, or it's so close together that you're still going to get noise. So if you're going to buy an S-video cable for just about any system, and that doesn't have to be 64, make sure you get one that just has the S-video and the audio. You do not want to have the composite input, because then something funky is probably going on with your cabling, especially if they're these cheap Chinese ones. So that's a quick rundown on S-video. Now, some of you might be asking, why didn't I just, use RGB? Well, N64 doesn't support RGB natively. RGB is basically composite video, or SCART. Nintendo 64 is like one of the only systems in that generation, is the only system that doesn't support RGB. So the best it can really do out of the box, or out of the the console itself, is S-video. And I've seen some video comparisons of people who spend money and they go through the hassle of modding their system. And I've seen videos, and the RGB mod doesn't. It looks better. I'm not gonna lie, it does look better. But for the hassle and for going into your 64 and altering it and all that work, it doesn't seem like it's worth it to me. Now, what's truly worth it is the HDMI upgrade, but those are like impossible to find. The dude that makes them is making them as fast as he can, but it's not fast enough for everybody who wants one. So if you want to find a system with the chip, you're spending like $400 plus on eBay. It's just not good news, and I'm not there yet to want to spend that money. One day when it gets cheaper, more readily available, I do plan on modding mine with HDMI, but for now, this is my cheap alternative, S-video. This is what I'm going to do. So the next part of the video you're going to see is me running this. I'm going to hook it all up, and I'm going to run it to my TV. Okay guys, so as you can see, this does work. It works very well. A couple quick notes. It doesn't really work in 1080p mode, but it has a little switch, so it does work perfectly fine in 720p. 1080p mode, it seems to have a hard time upscaling, but 720p works beautifully. And you can see I don't have any major checkerboarding, any rainbow effects, no big colors. But yeah, it looks really good, and I am more than pleased with the results. So, link down in the description if you want to make your N64 look a lot better on an HDTV. These two items will do the trick. So, this is Frankie Torres, and I'm a Pixel Slayer. And if you like this video, go ahead and click that like button. And if you haven't already done so, please subscribe, and you will get updates when our newest videos go up. Thank you, and bye.